Samuel, very nice to have you with us. I want to start by asking you, first of all, the announcement of your appointment came with the news that Joe Media is being relaunched. Can you just talk us through what that relaunch is about?
Yeah, I think for us, it was just about looking at the brand positioning and clarifying that to the market. So obviously we took over the business in July, and we had a look at the audience, and essentially the majority of the audience, because Joe has a few platforms, mainly politics, sport and football, and then also the main vertical. And we looked at what the publisher was doing well already, and I think it's got some really, really great engagement and established itself really well in politics and sports as a credible publisher. I think what we really wanted to relaunch it around and develop the offering in was the male and men's lifestyle offering, and tackling men's issues and the challenges that modern men face today, but also in an inclusive way, because although around anywhere between 60 to 70% of the audience reached is male on any given week. We also understand that there is a female following that is also interested in all the stuff that Joe publishes as well. So it's about tackling that sort of stuff with a more inclusive approach. So an example of something that we've done is with the unfortunate events that happened with Sarah in Clapham, that's been a hot topic of discussion and debate on social in the last few weeks, and we've just done a panel with a few female experts to talk about what men can do and what your average man can do to help. And that's a perfect example of taking an issue that everyone is talking about, but really honing in on how men can help. And that's what the relaunch is about, really clarifying the offering that Joe has at the moment and crystallizing that, and just building on what it does really well and developing the other areas where there's opportunities for growth and to strengthen them.
What's your main priority right now in these kind of first 100 days, if you like?
Yeah, you're probably going to hate this answer, and it's not what I think viewers will want to hear. But right now, we're quite ambitious in our plans, as I think we mentioned before previously. We want to grow Joe. We want to develop on what its offering is. So it's really setting up the business for growth and really establishing that. So that means doing a lot of the boring stuff, bringing the foundations into place, and building on the foundations that are already there. So we've obviously looked at the teams and how we structure those. We're looking into developing the tech offering a lot more, and bringing that in-house is probably something that we'll look to do. As well as that, we're looking into really building on a data and insights function, and that is super important in the world of social that we're in, because obviously people are pretty honest on social media, probably a bit too honest, and you do get that feedback loop. So you get both quantitative and qualitative data. So in terms of the sheer number of views you get, how long people view for, when there's a drop off, that's all really useful and informative data that can inform your strategy. But then we also have a data team and people in-house who are capable of scraping the comments and running sentiment analysis, which is a bit more qualitative. And all of that information really does allow you to see what sort of content the audience wants to see more of, what they want to see less of, what they really engage with. And you can take that information and develop single pieces and try them. And not all of them will work, but you also get a good idea as to why they didn't work. And the ones that are successful, we can look to turn into more digital formats, and eventually Joe get to the stage where we can create a few more shows. Joe's a leading social media publisher in terms of creating digital first shows with successful formats such as House of Rugby and Unfiltered, and obviously we've got All to Play For running at the moment, which has been doing really well. So that's the ambition, to build those foundations, get the right information to know exactly where we can grow and what will deliver the most returns for us as a business.
Samuel, from what you're saying, it sounds like where Joe's going is perhaps something we haven't really seen in media as a strategy before, but that's kind of taking social responsibility more seriously.
Yeah, I think personally that's one of the things that's really, really did excite me about having the opportunity to lead this team. It's the fact that Joe, I don't think there's a new media publisher in the UK space which has established itself with the credibility that Joe has. Since I've come into the business, it's actually been refreshing to see the way people comment on our content, the way they engage with some of the more serious topics that we discuss. The caliber of staff that we've been able to attract when we're looking to hire has been absolutely incredible. And we really do want to build on that. I think, as new media, we have a real responsibility because we're engaging audiences that traditional and legacy media are struggling to reach. And to have that impact is our ambition. And it's something that we must take really seriously. And Joe's done that really well. So we want to double down on that and build on that. And credibility is paramount to everything that we do. And I think what Joe's done that's proven really successful in the past, and we hope to build on it, is it's been able to take those serious issues with more of an irreverent tone. They do satire very well. It is that quintessentially British humor that you can take something super serious that's going on at the moment and capture it with satire and with humor and actually get people to engage and think about it. Everyone's mum shares those WhatsApp videos around that Joe do. The Do They Know It's COVID Time on was absolutely genius. And that's a prime example, the sort of stuff we want to do more of. But we also want to make politics and those serious issues more accessible. So young people think that they can engage with them, that they can go on the Joe platform and understand it. Because I think, speaking to a lot of my friends in the past, the big reason a lot of people don't want to talk about politics is because they don't want to get stuff wrong, they don't understand, and they're afraid to ask questions. So accessibility is super important to Joe's offering on those serious issues and making sure that we can be a platform that people can go to and feel that they're going to feel confident that they'll be given the tools to understand exactly what's going on.
The main strands that you have right now are sort of sports, comedy, and politics. So is the plan to broaden that out across a few more verticals that are not being served now?
Yeah, I think for us, we probably won't look to verticalize immediately. Like you never say never. But across that main Joe offering, there is a bit of the entertainment. There is a bit more of the lifestyle and gaming stuff. But we want to make it a bigger content pillar and a bigger focus. And you can definitely expect a bit more of that stuff in the coming year from us. It is also about, looking at the data, looking at the insights and trying to learn from what the audience want from you. But that's definitely something that we want to develop. It's, everyone loves entertainment. Who doesn't love TV, movies, etc.? And then one thing that always surprises people, but it's been the case for a good few years now, is that the gaming industry is bigger than the movie, television, and music industry combined. And that's a massive vertical. And even within that vertical, there's loads of sub-verticals. And that's what social media platforms have allowed people to do. I hate saying this word, and because it's a live interview, it's going to be tough, but democratization of media means that there's, content has become a lot more niche, and you can find accounts with hundreds of thousands of followers that are just dedicated to one mini game within a game. So for instance, Call of Duty Warzone was something that blew up massively during the lockdown. They managed to just coincide the release with the lockdown, and everyone was jumping on it for a while. And now you've got dedicated accounts with super engagement, but that's just a mini game within the Call of Duty game. So we see that there's huge opportunity to grow into those areas: gaming, entertainment, and more of the lifestyle stuff. That's definitely something we want to do.
So I hope this doesn't put you on the spot, but for example, I'm a white Scottish gay man in a mixed race relationship. How does someone of my demographic fit into the Joe kind of audience grab of the future? Because your audience is mostly males between the age of, say, 24 and mid-30s.
Yep. I think for us, it's that one thing I probably haven't mentioned is that I've mentioned we're inclusive, but we're also super progressive. And for me, diversity, and for the business, diversity is one of the values that we hold dear. And we want to be inclusive, and we want to cover the issues that matter to everyone. And I think we've seen from the audience that there is the appetite for that. I think this last year with the Black Lives Matter movement, with what's happened with Sarah, there's people have realised that there's a long way to go with civil rights, and it's on the agenda more than ever. I think this generation is hungry to learn and determined to change stuff. And Joe hopes to be a big part of that and educate people for all the issues that young British people face, not just young British men, or not just, young British white men or young British heterosexual men, but all British people face. And that's, it sounds cheesy, but we want to make sure that we cover all the different perspectives and all the points of views that exist within the country.
And just for clarity, you mentioned Sarah there, and of course you're referring to the tragic events around Sarah Everard. To what extent then does all of this very, very present social sort of feeling that we're all having collectively, especially during the time of a pandemic, we're all much more interested in these big issues that we seem to have just been ignoring for decades, and now they're all coming to the fore.
I don't know why that seems to be the case now, but personally, I think it's long overdue. It's great, it's refreshing to see people reflecting on this stuff and discussing it a bit more and on social media and on other platforms. It's well documented about the negative effects that social media platforms have had, but it's also been super useful and helpful in helping to provide people more information and educating people. And I think it is long overdue, but it is a massive positive. And I think our responsibility as a publisher is, how do we keep that momentum going? Because things can come into the news agenda and fall out of the agenda. And that's something that, I've been talking to the team at Joe about, is how do we make sure that even when it is out the mainstream news agenda, that we still keep informing our audience about these key issues, and we keep them engaged with them and continue to drive positive change.
Well, you mentioned diversity a minute ago there, and you're quite upfront about the struggles you faced in your life. I mean, you're probably one of the youngest CEOs I've ever interviewed, which is a great achievement in itself.
Yeah.
But talk to us a little bit about. I mean, you're a Bain man in a very visible chief executive position now. Not something, sadly, that we've seen a lot of in the media industry. So how do you think your appointment is maybe set to influence and perhaps change other companies in their thinking towards diversity? Just on a note today, I saw that the Financial Conduct Authority is now considering making visible diversity part of the listing criteria for companies looking to list on the London Stock Exchange, which has to be an amazing, I mean, I hope they do it.
Yeah, so I listen to Radio 4 every morning, the Today Show, and that's something that I saw. I think it was like last month, where they mentioned how none of the FTSE 100 companies have any black executives in the top 3 positions, which I found quite shocking. It is a really tricky one, because you don't want them to feel like the gesture is tokenistic, but at the same time, I cannot believe that there aren't black people who are qualified for these positions. And I guess that's the first thing that I'd say about my position, is that even though I'm quite young, in terms of like media years and in the world of tech, I think everything moves. I think 1 year in the world of tech is probably about 4 years in any other industry, just because things move super quickly. And Facebook, when you're a social first publisher, Facebook and Google, etc., they're changing their algorithms so frequently that it does feel like things move super quickly. So I think I've got a lot of experience, and that's helped me to get to this position. But I guess I think diversity is good at all levels, and obviously at senior levels it's also super important. But it's also about businesses really looking to give those opportunities at the lower levels, so that people can grow in-house and they can see firsthand that diversity doesn't come at a trade-off, that there are, you can, if you offer equality of opportunity, you will find the right people and be able to diversify. We've looked at initiatives. We work with a couple of partners in this space, Creative Access, White Stripe, who are both recruiters that focus on diversity, as well as using the usual channels and the usual job boards that every other business does. But I think it's super important, because I haven't been in the business for too long, and because a pandemic's been going on, etc. It's been tough. But one of the things that I think we need to do in media as general is to put together a plan as to how we plan to, our outwards diversity strategy and the content that we put out there, but also internally, there needs to be a credible plan as to what you're going to do, and you set yourself targets. So that's something that I want to do with the team, so that we can set ourselves targets and feel confident that we're doing enough and it's not just tokenistic. I guess I would say, in terms of just diversity in general, if new media don't do it, I don't know who will. Like, the legacy media channels are probably a big behemoth, and it might be hard to change stuff there. But in terms of new media, more often than not, I'm pretty sure 80 to 90% of all new media publishers are really left-leaning, progressive businesses talking about inclusivity, talking about, embracing change. So if we're not doing that, then I don't know who else is going to do that.
There's a major investment coming to the company, and this is also going to include a major recruitment drive as well. So how are you going to ensure there's a strong, diverse sort of approach to recruiting these new journalists and producers and editors and other talent?
So far it's happened quite naturally. The people that we found and we brought into the team, it's happened quite naturally that they happen to be the best, for the job. I think that the values are instilled within the staff. They're instilled within the team. We're generally believe in that anyway. So it has happened. But I think it is about making sure that you give those opportunities. You look to make sure that you're listing the job boards in the right places, etc. And I probably can't say too much, but we do want to come up with a credible plan that I'd feel confident. I guess my big anxiety is saying that we're going to do something and not being able to follow through with it. But we have already made huge steps in that space already.
What's the next thing, the next big announcement coming out of Joe then that we should be looking for?
It's probably not my place to say. We've hired an incredibly talented director of editorial that from a very, very reputable company, and we're looking to announce that, and I'm super excited of working with them. And that's something to look out for.
Well, that sounds like someone inspiring. We'll wait until we get the release with you telling us who that person or people are.
Yeah, they are genuinely incredible, and they're so eager and they're so keen, and they've already been working with us on a few things already, even though they haven't officially started. So that should happen in the next month or so. So that's going to be exciting.
Okay, and just finally, is your first few weeks officially at the helm, as it were. Who inspires you?
I don't know. I've got so many inspirations. I have loads of broad interests. So I'm a massive creative. I guess one person I'd probably pick out is Donald Glover, who's got the name like Childish Gambino, just because of how talented he is. This is someone who has got an Emmy for writing an episode on 30 Rock. He's produced his own show, Atlanta, which he won an Emmy for. He's got Grammy albums. He did that, absolutely amazing song, This Is America, that also won a Grammy, but was a viral hit. But it's being able to have that, have that broad skill. And also, I think, as a Black man who works in media, to see that, what he's doing, writing comedy, creating his own original TV shows, it's a bit different to the other Black men that you will see in media, etc. And it just shows that you can. When I was growing up, I think his first album came out when I was at university, and the way he talks about being Black, what that experience is like, is something that did really resonate with me. because he faced different challenges to your typical, the usual like rappers would say, essentially. And he's just super creative, college graduate. So it was something that I could probably relate to a bit more. So he's a huge inspiration. Elsewhere, I think I did mention about I don't really follow careers as much as I like to follow people who are coming up with innovative concepts and ideas and how they're changing the world that we live in. And yeah, so I'll probably go with him from a creative point of view.
Finally, you've taken on this role at, well, a unique time in many ways, but one of the most obvious ways is, of course, we're in a global pandemic. We're in a lockdown situation in many parts of the world. How has that been for you, becoming a chief executive of a company amid a lockdown and a pandemic?
To be honest, it's been a nightmare. Like, I think that firstly, I like to work in a quite collaborative manner. So I've got a super experienced like senior management team across the business. Some of the people who've joined me when we took over Joe, and some of them are existing team. And it's tough because you can't just walk over to someone's desk and ask a question really quickly. But also with the existing team that was there, it's been really hard to develop those personal relationships that make startups what they are. I guess that the other thing has probably been the stop-start nature, when we thought that you're just about to get back into the office, and then it's another lockdown. But I think the big thing has been not being able to build those relationships with people, not being able to just ask those quick questions. Walk over to someone's desk and say, what's going on with this? Can I get your opinion on that? You've got to set up a Zoom call, and that probably takes up, a bit more time, because there's always like, you probably dedicate about 20 minutes a week to technical issues when you're having these Zoom calls. So that's been the main challenge. But on the whole, I think it's been great, because everyone understands and is appreciative that we're all going through this together, and it is a bit of a nightmare and it is unprecedented. So it's been tough, but also it's been great that everyone's kind of like pulled together to make it work. Yeah.